Everyone, Chris here from Song Swap Showdown, and I just want to say on behalf of Amanda and myself, we want to truly thank all of you for all of your support. Everybody who listens to the show, everybody who reshares the show, everybody who takes the time to follow or subscribe to the show over on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. We truly want to thank you all so much for your support. Today, instead of doing a normal show or a brand new show, we're actually re-releasing a remixed version of our very first episode. And at the time, we were calling the show the Chris and Amanda Show. And until recently, as of this year, 2023, that we changed the name of the show to Song Swap Showdown. So we hope you guys enjoyed this remix version of the show. At the time when we recorded this, we were on a brand new app called Fireside, which you could live stream video and audio to the Fireside community and publish it. And we had a blast doing that. As the first time Amanda and I started doing the show, we actually met over on Clubhouse, which is a social audio app. And Amanda came on. She was a guest on my show called Rocket Live, which is my podcast. And we had so much great feedback from everybody saying that we had so much chemistry together that when we signed up for this Fireside app, both of us were looking for show ideas. And Amanda came to me and said, hey, why don't we do a show together where we each share 3 songs with one another, and then we'll rate those songs on a scale of 1 to 5 records. How does that sound? You want to do the show with me? Well, you're doing the show with me. So obviously, I wound up saying yes, and we did the show together. And you'll listen that, honestly, we really, when we had decided to do it, was about 48 hours before we were going to go do it. So there wasn't too much planning. We just said, let's just dive in and do it. And you guys will hear how it came out. And, quite frankly, listening back to it, I thought it was pretty good for our first show. We seem very comfortable with each other, and we just have such a great time. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoy this look back with us as we're celebrating 100 episodes of Song Swap Showdown. And we hope you guys enjoy this little remixed version of our very first episode ever. So we will see you soon for another new episode of Song Swap Showdown. Yeah, and make sure you hit that follow button or subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening to Song Swap Showdown. All right, everyone, thank you so much for all your support, and we'll see you soon.
I felt like there was a lot of passion. Like a lot of kids got together and just was like, yeah, let's do this. And then they were just terrible at it.
Welcome to the first episode of the Chris and Amanda Show. Everybody strap in because this is our very first episode, and we plan on having a good time. We've been really excited behind the scenes getting this together for everybody, and and as the show goes on, I'm sure we'll get a little bit more technically proficient with the show itself. So, but please sit back and be entertained as we go. So, if you are new to what this whole show is about, Amanda and I got together, and actually Amanda had this great idea. She came to me and said, hey, we should do a weekly show where we each pick songs for each other to listen to and then give our review and our reactions to, because Amanda and I, as much as we get along so well, we are definitely from completely our musical tastes couldn't be any more opposite. I am definitely much more of the punk, hardcore, metal, classic rock. I do have a very wide mix of music I listen to, but I definitely wear that on my sleeve. And Amanda comes from much more of the country. She's a country gal, 80s.
Laid back listening.
I would say a little more conservative, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. So this will be fun, and I know that pretty much every song I think I'm gonna pick for Amanda as the weeks go on are gonna be things that she's never heard before. So that will be, for me, it's going to be more fun than anything is listening to your reactions to some of these songs. And believe me, I do put thought into picking these songs.
It was hard because I had so many choices. To narrow it down to 3 was near impossible. But I said, Amanda, it's okay. We're going to do this weekly. Don't get so down on yourself. You can do this next Monday.
So I want to welcome everybody right now who's down there listening to us live, and feel free to participate as we go along.
And I would encourage everyone in the audience to make noises, cheer us on. You can boo. It's okay. If you don't like my reaction, it's okay. You can do
my reaction.
Boo. You can do the party.
Right. Whatever. All right. So, so we're going to get started here. And just another quick reminder, and you'll see it on the scroll here, is that we do have a playlist that will be updated weekly. All the songs will be there as the episodes go on. So right now, if you go to Spotify, if you go to the chrisandamandashow.com, it'll link you right to the Spotify playlist where our songs for this week are posted there, and we will just continue to update every single week until we have this like crazy mixed bag playlist from the entire season of our shows. So if you want to play along and follow along and listen to these songs as we go, feel free to do that. So with that, let's get started. Amanda's first pick for me. So we're going to go one for one. So I'll go first, and then Amanda will go first. So Amanda's pick for me was the Waylon Jennings song, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. And I am not a huge country fan. However, I will say that while I'm not a big country fan and it's not my normal go-to genre, I do have incredible respect for the legends of country.
Good answer.
It's true. My father listened to a lot of, he went through a whole phase when I was younger where he listened to a lot of older country. And my grandfather was very big in the country, and he listened to a lot of the old school like guys, like Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, obviously Willie Nelson. He listened to a lot, and so I was exposed to it at a very early age. So I definitely have a very strong appreciation for the legends of country and sort of being like the genre that it's just like very true American music. It's very Americana, and there's actually a lot of emotion and heart and soul in the music. So it's not what we have today, which is, I guess you could say, more country pop. Although I do hear sometimes I hear things that I'm like, oh, this artist is much more like the old school cut from that cloth. So I will say that I did listen to this song. I had never heard it before. And
I never heard it?
I'd never heard it before. I just didn't. I mean, and it's very possible maybe when I was younger I'd heard it, but I hadn't heard it before. So I really liked this song. I did like it. And I when I did a little investigation, I found out that it was actually a Bob Dylan cover, which once again I didn't know. And oftentimes, I've always said that Bob Dylan songs are usually better. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, I'm sure, but I usually say most people do better covers of Bob Dylan songs than Bob Dylan actually does himself. So
our audience agrees.
Oh, there you go. So I actually should go back, and I didn't with this one, is go back and actually listen to the Bob Dylan version of this before I make my final judgment on that. But I'm going to suspect that the Waylon Jennings version is probably better. But I did like the song. I really did. And I actually favored it. So it will be in my mix of liked songs for sure.
Wow.
So I definitely dug this one. So, and it was another thing when I was doing, and I was just reading up more on Waylon Jennings because I was like, wow, this introduced me. Like, let me do a little more, background into who he was. And I know that he did a really cool collaboration with Willie Nelson. I think it was like WW3 or something like that. It was a record they did together. And then I also found out, which I didn't know, and you may know this, Amanda, but he was actually a bass player in Buddy Holly's band. He was in the Crickets.
I did not know that.
And he did not get on the plane that night. He was supposed to take that plane ride with Buddy Holly, and he did not get on the plane.
I did not know that. Well,
and because he didn't get on that plane, he obviously survived. So he doing a little digging on fact is that he was supposed to be on that fateful plane ride that night where Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens passed away. He did not get on that plane.
Look at Chris like fact checking things, and I'm just like, I just really feel connected to it. That's as simple as it is.
It opened me up because I was like, wow, this is a really cool song. And then I just started reading a little bit more about him and his, his career. And I was like, holy smokes, I had no idea that it went that deep. He played bass in the Crickets, at least that incarnation of the band with Buddy Holly, and yeah, he didn't get on that plane that night. So I
Oh,
was
darn. I didn't know that.
I was blown away by it. So so I will give my rating for this. So just because we didn't start that at the top, but we did come up with a rating system. So five records this is an amazing song, and it will be forever linked in the pantheon of our favorite music. And one record it's not good. I'm not going to listen to it. It was cool to hear it, but I may just burn it or forget I ever heard it. So I'm going to actually give this 4 records. I'm going to give this song 4 records. I really enjoyed it. It was nice. It was, I don't know, it just came at a really good time. And I liked the sound of it. I liked the lyrics. I just thought it was cool. And I definitely had a connection to it. So I liked your pick. So thank you very much for picking it for me. So that is a 4 record pick for me.
It means a lot that it's on your favorite list now. That's impressive. That's almost more than 4 records in my book.
Right.
That's impressive. So impressive. Well, your very first song you gave to me was by The Promise Ring, and it was Make Me a Mixtape. So I definitely had never heard of it before. And I have to say, it was my favorite of the ones you've sent.
Okay.
Me this week. Does that surprise you?
You know what? I had a feeling it might be, but I thought my number 2 pick may be your favorite. But I was like, I was very interested to hear what you were gonna think of this song. But I picked it for specific reasons, but I don't want to say anything till you're done with your review.
Well, I have to say a little story behind this. So have you heard of 89X, like the 89X still Christmas shows that used to exist? They might still exist. I don't know if it was like Michigan specific.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but
we used to go to those concerts, and it kind of made me remember and think of that time because that was the kind of music that was played. And so it made me think of when Marcus and I were just dating and we were young babies. And so that was fun. But funny story, I actually fell asleep at the concert. Because it was so late and I was so tired. Like, how do you fall asleep to that kind of music? Amanda did. Like, that's obnoxious. That's obnoxious. So it brought a lot of like funny like memories back. And so I guess I really don't know what the song was about other than it's like I liked Make Me a Mixtape that reminds me of you. So is it just basically like make me a mixtape so that way I can think of you? Like, I don't always understand the songs within the songs.
Yeah. No, it's fairly, it's pretty much that. It's make me a mixtape, to get me closer to you, make me a mixtape, that reminds me of you. And he even talks about, put something that the Cars did back in 1980, like, put some Husker Du. So it's like, it's very, that whole thing of, and for anybody who's listening that's much younger, it's very much like making a playlist for somebody. But back in our day, we made mixtapes and then eventually mix CDs. Then now it's like become like playlists.
Do you remember like the impeccable timing you had to have if you were trying to make a mixtape? You had to have like your finger on, like ready to record, like boom.
I like
pressure.
Had that system down, especially when it was on the radio, like on the radio, or if you were recording like records to tape and you drop the needle, it's like, It
was, these young kids will never know. They'll never know. You had to push 2 buttons to record.
It is an art form that is, I don't know if it's lost it may be lost. It was just a different time, and a different way of doing it. I think that by putting together like how it is now, like a Spotify playlist or something, I feel like the sentiment is still there, but the mechanics of that whole, like the tape, the record or CD, is just like,
it was so like user essential. You didn't push buttons on a computer and tell the computer what to do. You had to like do a million things at one time.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, you could even take a pre-recorded cassette tape and like kick the tab out, so then you could actually record on it. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, if you put a piece of tape over it, you could then
record
over
it.
Yeah.
Rigging the system. So for that, all of those wonderful memories, I gave it 4 records.
All right. Oh, wow.
It was one of those things like I was kind of tapping to it a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely has that beat, and that's what Promise Ring was known for. It's that Midwest emo sound, and they were one of the bands that really broke out and had that like, Davies voice, which I mean, obviously you could tell it's not like a singing, but it was like it's all about just like the lyrics and the emotions and different pop culture callbacks and stuff like that. It's just a really fun song to like blast and have a good time too. So it's
yeah, I blasted at volume 2.
yeah, Amanda go crazy.
My husband's always so funny. He's like, how do you hear this stuff? I'm like, I just got good ears.
Okay, so your number 2 choice for me was by Noah Cyrus, and it's the song July. So I've never listened to anything by Noah Cyrus, and I had to just check to make sure because I was like, oh, is that Miley Cyrus's sister? And so I was like, well, maybe. And so but it is. So I confirmed that. So I listened to that song a few times, and it's I have a really I love like female singers. I love hearing and especially like when they're in rock bands and all that. But I have just a strong affinity for female singers, and some like really really resonate with me, and others just kind of feel a little like good voice, but not really. I don't know, not much more there than just being a cool voice. So with this, I really wasn't sure. I was like, I didn't know if this was going to be super pop like centric, like a Miley Cyrus like pop song. I just had no idea. So I was actually surprised at like how like heartfelt and sentimental the song was, and it had a lot more soul to it than I thought it would. And I think there's a duet version too with Leon Bridges, which I don't think is this version.
No.
Because I think she was the only one that did this. Yeah, if I can remember. Yep. Yeah, I don't think so. And the other thing about this song too, because there's another thing that it drives me crazy. I don't know why it drives me crazy, but it drives me crazy sometimes. And is that sometimes like you hear it, and I get it, not everybody's a songwriter, but like, I feel like when you know that at least the person singing the song has done something to the song or contributed somehow, and this is just my sense of thinking. It's not always accurate, but It is like, it just notches it up a little bit more like that. I'm like, oh, like she's not just a pop princess. Like she actually can. So I saw that she does have writing credits on the song, which I don't know what those are. I mean, it could just be strictly for publishing, which is fine, but I don't know. It just for me, it just gave it a little more, I guess, clout.
Integrity.
Yeah. Than just being like, hey, I'm just, hey, here's some songs, like rip it. And I'm Miley Cyrus's sister, and, to sign me to a record deal. So I was surprised by the song. It was not what I thought it was going to be at all. So I enjoyed it. I like the Waylon Jennings song more, but I would say for this, I absolutely didn't hate it. I listened to it a few times actually, and then I played it for my daughters, and of course, like, oh yeah, Dad, we know this song. I'm like, yeah, of course you guys know this song. Of course, Dad. But yeah, so I would probably give this one. I thought it was a cool song, so I didn't hate it. I did listen to it a few times. So I would give this song 3 records. I would give it 3 records.
Not bad. Yeah. Not bad. I don't know what it is about that song. I think the range is really cool.
That's a good word. Yeah.
I feel like the talent level, I think Miley Cyrus is very, very talented, but I think she just had so much merit on where she started, where I think this is just a little bit of a different circumstance. And I just really loved it. And any song that has whistling in it, Amanda, I love a good whistle. It's like one of my favorite parts in songs because I'm a really good whistler.
Right.
Now you all know.
Now you all know. Now you all know.
All right. Well,
all right.
Chris's second song was by Operation Ivy. Had never even heard of them. Like in my life, I just think of Poison Ivy, not Operation Ivy, and it's Sound System. And I had never also heard that before. So I just think it's crazy that it was even Operation Ivy and Sound System. How they come up with this, I don't know. And what's really interesting is I didn't even know this type of music existed until last week. It's Tanner's favorite music. So it was perfect timing that you sent me a song that was in the ska category. It's like ska, like ska, like ska, ska. Like, how do you say ska? Like It's not skull, it's ska. So
It's ska.
I find it funny that even ska is a name for a type of music. So I'm learning.
You're learning.
I have to say, there was lots of passion. How old are these kids? Can you tell me? I didn't look up. I didn't look up
Well,
their ages.
they are not kids. They are.
These are grown adult men.
Well, they are now. When they did this record came out in. Let's see. That was the 19. I think this is 89. Operation Ivy was.
Oh my goodness! So you looked this up. I just went by like strictly like if I like the song.
No,
I should have
it's
did more
fine. Well,
research.
this is no. Yep. This song was released in 89 on the Energy record.
Okay.
And so Op Ivy is from they're from California. And I mean, back when they did this, yeah, they were like really young. I mean, now they're much older, and all families and stuff like that. And I'll give you a little bit more history once you keep going. But yeah, this was 89.
So that might explain some of the. I just thought it was not a newer song, but a newish song.
Right.
Post 2000 maybe. I felt like there was a lot of passion. Like a lot of kids got together and just was like, yeah, let's do this. And then they were just terrible at it. I hate the chorus.
You don't like sound system gonna bring me back?
No, because the other part was better. So the sound system part was the part that I was like, makes you not even sound super talented, but the other part was okay. And I have to say, like, I didn't mind the music part of it. It was just when they started singing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do people get record deals?
Well, so Operation Ivy is so I'll try to explain this without going into a deep history of like California punk rock and the San Francisco Bay Area scene. But so they're an important band in that the ska punk movement. So there was definitely the ska bands of like the 80s. So you think about like Madness and the Specials and bands like that were like really influential and had that real heavy ska. And even the Clash to a point integrated ska and reggae into like their music. And, and we all know the Police, and the Police definitely integrated like elements of ska and reggae into their music as well. But Op Ivy took it to like that whole like crusty level that real like you said, it's just like kids with a lot of passion playing music, having great time, writing songs about like the things they felt like, Sound System, which is talking about music, bringing people together. They went on to write a lot of other songs about anti-discrimination and anti-racism and a lot of things they were seeing like in that area and like writing music about it to like really positive mental attitude and lift people up and say, hey, this is not okay. Like you should not be doing these things. Like, we got to band together and all these other. So anyway, but they're an important band because they were one of the ones that really blended that punk ska sound, which then a lot of other bands took and like, I guess you could say, quote unquote, just refined it more, cleaned it up. But they were like I'm not going to say they're the complete originators of that, but they were, I guess, the more of the popular ones that really kind of launched it. And a lot of kids discovered punk and ska through Operation Ivy. So they have become a big gateway band for a lot of kids. And actually, and if you know the band Rancid, do you know Rancid? Okay. Okay. So anyway, Rancid is a very big like punk band, and they have elements of ska and reggae. But so Matt and Tim from Operation Ivy created Rancid, and Rancid like is a very popular band
that I don't clearly know. That's okay. I like how you called it Op Ivy. I like that you're like Op Ivy because that's a real fan. There's like a nickname for it.
Yeah. So that's Operation Ivy and Sound System. So it's one of my favorite songs because I listen to Sound System. It's on my like spin mix when I use my spin, and it's just a song that gets me so like amped up, and I totally dance around when I hear that song. I feel
like if the Monkees or the Beatles would have been in the 80s, that's where they would have landed.
That's an amazing analogy. Wow.
Can you see that? Can you feel that?
That's an interesting perspective. I would have never thought of that, but I feel like
as
it's
I
something they
like,
would have experimented with.
yeah, the
It's
first thing
interesting.
that I hear when I hear that song is I'm like, oh, it's like it could have been like either the Monkees or the Beatles if it would have just been a couple decades later.
Mhm.
So with all that being said, I don't hate it. I don't love it. So I'm gonna give it like a solid 3.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So 3 is still pretty good. I the way you were going, I thought we were going to be in like the 2 territory.
Well, like I just kind of envision a bunch of kids in the garage, like I said. So like I feel like I would be a really bad mom if I gave them a 2.
Well, if you watch so now what you need to go is actually go to YouTube and look up like Operation Ivy sound system and watch some of the old VHS videos from them playing, and you're gonna be like, oh, this actually looks like a bunch of kids in a garage, like just totally going off to
So
like.
I'll feel less jerkish with the 3.
Yeah,
So I
no,
like that.
your assessment is fairly accurate
I
of
love
that
it.
perception. So yeah, you should definitely watch some videos of them from back in the day, because I think you're gonna be like, oh, and they totally look like I thought they would look like. Here we go. Our last 2 songs.
Go gentle, Chris.
I actually have a lot of interesting things to say about this next one. So, and I think you may be a little shocked. So, so Amanda's third song pick for me was "The Eternal Flame" by the Bangles. Now, I am a Bangles fan. I like the Bangles. Okay, I actually. So and I love Susanna Hoffs. So this goes back to what I was saying before about I have definitely an affinity for female singers, the female voice. I love it. And Susanna Hoffs was I think she's amazing. I love her voice. I think she's like extremely talented. And actually, I even went back in the day. She was in a movie, which I gotta find the name of the movie. I had it in my notes before, but she was in this movie back in the 80s that I went to go see only because she was in it, which is called here it is. It's because I know she was.
I would know these things. I'm like, no, I just.
Well, it's funny because she was also in Austin Powers films, because she was in the band, the Austin Powers like band that was that played. So she was in that, but she didn't have like any roles. But the movie that she was in that came out was called where is it?
And while you're looking it up, just so our viewers can see, because you can see, but they can't.
Right.
I just have the song playing in my head, and I'm just swaying back and forth. Imagine if I had a lighter in my hand.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. It was called The All-Nighter. There's The All-Nighter, and then there was another one too that she was in, which I can't remember. But anyway, so she was in those films and all that, and I was like, oh, I got to see Susanna Hoffs because she's amazing. And of course, being a teenage boy, you know, it's like I gotta go see Susanna Hoffs. So this song. So the thing about this song is, what always bothered me about this song is, as awesome as Susanna her voice is in the song, is I just felt like the song was so like just vanilla for them. Like it just wasn't like the Bangles to me. Like it was, but here's the thing.
I can see that. I can see your point there.
But it's also very indicative of the 80s, because every 80s band had to have the power ballad. Like the power ballad was like a surefire ticket to like make money. I mean, everybody, you know, if your band was struggling to get on radio or anything, like the power ballad was the way to get in and get the DJs playing them, especially if like maybe they were more played at like more rock radio stuff. But like if you really wanted to get onto the pop stations, like say for instance like a Z100, like Eternal Flame would be like the song that would get them there. And I know they had other big hits like Walk Like an Egyptian, which was a huge hit. And you know, they had their share of, I mean, they definitely were hits after hits after hits with them. But Eternal Flame for me was like, this is like the prom song. This is like the song that's like possibly someone's wedding song at some point. And that's not bad. I'm not saying anything negative against that. Just for me as a fan of the Bangles, this is a song that I hit skip on when it comes up on greatest hits or playlist. So
my mouth is just on the floor, everyone. On the floor.
And it's just because it just is not my favorite Bangles song, because I like so many of their other songs, and I know what they're capable of. And yes, they wrote a really cool song. It just is not, doesn't feel like the Bangles at all to me. I will say that Susanna Hoffs does now. If you really want some really cool Susanna Hoffs stuff, Susanna Hoffs has done a bunch of like really cool solo records, and she's done these 3 records called Under the Covers with Matthew Sweet, and they do cover songs. Her and Matthew Sweet and other musicians. They are great. Like if they do like all kinds of stuff, like the Beatles, they do all different classic rock stuff and just cool. Like just they have a very cool collection of songs that they've covered. And if anybody knows Matthew Sweet, like an amazing, like very talented, like singer, guitarist, songwriter, and together they make great music together.
I'm just blown away by your level of knowledge within the music community. Feel free to give him a applause because that is so impressive to me. I'm like, again, it just made me feel good. Like that's all I got.
Well, this is years of, just listening to stuff and, not having a life at some point and just being like, well, I have my records. All I have are my records and I'm making my mixtapes for people.
Killing it.
But so the Bangles, the Eternal Flame, while I like the Bangles as a band, this is not my favorite song from the Bangles, but I appreciate you sharing it with me because it obviously means something to you, which I'd love to hear your story of why you like this. But so I'll give you my rating after you tell me why you picked this song.
It's so stupid. You're gonna laugh when you hear it. So I have this vivid memory of like 7-year-old me playing Monopoly with my sisters, and this song was playing in the background. Doesn't get more all-American than that, does it, friends?
Listening to the Eternal Flame and buying up property on Broadway or Boardwalk.
I just bankrupted my sister, but boy, is this song fantastic.
And it's funny now that you've gotten into real estate.
Yes.
So it all started with Monopoly and the Bangles.
Success leaves clues. Yeah, so I just remember that song being played and it just makes me feel good. And it's one of those songs, like I think people headbang to certain songs because that's the reaction. For me, it just makes me do this. And I belt it. Yes, I sway and my fists are pumped and it's going up and down. Like as I'm belting it, I feel this song. I feel it.
Turn around. Give me your hand. Give myself breathing.
Do you understand?
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Amanda Sharp, The Eternal Flame. So my rating for this song, not the band overall, but this song, is 2 records. And because it's my least favorite, but I love your story. It's a sweet story, and I'm glad this song means something to you. It means something to you. For me, it's the skip button.
Fair enough. Now tell me, you're going to feel a little guilty every time you have to click the skip button in the future now. You'd be like, oh, Amanda's Monopoly story skip.
I will definitely now think of your story for about 10 to maybe 30 seconds and then
decide it's still not worth it.
And decide, I don't know. It's just, I will put on another Bangles song.
And the end of the song is what's the best. Yeah.
And as overplayed as Walk Like Egyptian is, because it is a completely overplayed song, I still like it.
It's really good. It's just, I think it's happy.
I think so. I
don't know if I actually know the words to that song, if I'm being honest.
It's been a while since, but yeah, the lyrics to that song, I just remember being super simple.
Side note.
And I like that everybody kind of takes turns singing that song too, which is another cool. Everybody in the Bangles takes a verse, and I think that's really cool.
And when I don't know the words, instead of looking them up, I just make them up. So there's always that.
Oh, I want to hear the made-up words to Walk Like an Egyptian, Amanda version.
I'll send it to you in Instagram.
Do with it
what you want. I love it. Oh my goodness. So this last song is just.
I went for the money on this song.
You sure did go for the money for this last song. So first of all, it's Killswitch Engage, which Killswitch Engage is like an oxymoron. Right? I mean, so it's like kill the switch, no engage. Like, so
Well,
it's
engage the kill switch. Kill switch engage. Kill switch engage.
but it just is like confusing to me. So that bothers me right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, the name.
And then it's Rose of Sharon, which I think like is really spelled incorrectly. So I can't get past that either. And then I pressed play. It gave me a headache. I listened to it twice because I promised myself I'd listen to each song at least twice, maybe more if I liked it a little bit more.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And all I can think is how do they sing that song and not get a sore throat?
Well, that's a great question, but it's just training to get that deep growl. And so I don't know if you looked at a picture of the band, which I urge you to do if you haven't.
I will after.
So Killswitch Engage actually had two singers, and that song in particular was the second singer of the band, and then now the band's got the original singer back, Jesse, but the
Scott says true talent and skill. How?
It is true talent and skill.
I'm mind blown. And
it is true talent and skill to get there.
Who heard that and said they're going to be a number one? Let's sign them up to this label. And somebody did.
Right, because that's metal, and so they're a metal band. They're very big in the metal community. Actually, if we want to go even further, they're big in the metalcore community. So they have their roots in Boston, Massachusetts metal scene, hardcore metal scene, and they're all like members from other bands from that scene that got together, created Killswitch Engage, and they are a humongous band. They play festivals, they sell out, internationally renowned. So the singer on that record was Howard Jones, and Howard was the second singer in the band. And he's got that, I mean, if you feel it, he's got that great scream, but then he's got that great bravado where he can just sing. Like, this guy has amazing range, and there's other bands that he's done, and I think you'd be blown away at his level of range that he can sing.
I will say, I wrote down like at the 2:30 mark, there was some real promise there.
Right.
I would have shut it off had I not needed to listen to it, and never would have gotten to that. Because at that mark, I go, I can hear a good voice there.
Yeah, it's that.
Just so overwhelming.
they are. So yeah, if you're not used to listening to metal, and
look at these wrinkles because of it.
There's a lot going on because they're like they definitely combine like metal and hardcore elements, and then there's even like they even throw some like death metal, black metal stuff in there with some of the background vocals. But what did I say when I sent this song? It's a love song, and it is a love song.
Yes. How? I couldn't even hear the words to know that it was a love song.
If you listen to the lyrics, it's or read the lyrics.
Read the lyrics.
No, but the song is it's actually a really emotional song. So it's definitely about like dealing with the loss of a loved one and feeling that, that pain and that loss, and then saying, I can't wait till we see each other again. Like, and so that's what the song is really about. It's about dealing with the loss of a someone near and dear, a loved one, and just expressing that, and that I miss you and I can't wait to see you again. When I die and I get to see you again. So it's just that's why I love that song. And it's like when they play this song and people go berserk, because it is just like it's an emotional release.
And I guess I could hear bits and pieces. So it is actually about death, because I thought I felt that as opposed to like losing somebody because of a breakup.
Well, because it's not so much, but that's why I say it's a love song, because it's just like he's expressing like his love and the loss for the person he's lost in a life. And that could be, a parent, it could be, whatever, someone that you love, like your partner, whatever. And I just, it is just it's a song that like, I know, like for everybody when it comes on, it's just a very emotional song and I know you don't, because it's just like, oh my God, this sounds like ferocious, but like, it is a very much a release of total emotion in that song. So even when you get to that big breakdown chorus, and it's like, that big bravado comes out, like, it's just like, just picture like thousands of people, like, saying all, just singing along. It's just a cool moment.
So I assume you've went to concerts, that's the entire concert.
Yes. Oh yeah.
How do you get a headache?
No. Nope.
What?
Nope. I mean, no, I don't. I mean, it's just like that's I'm a big metalhead, and I love metal. I mean, you should I should send you the videos of where I was at on Saturday, that outdoor hardcore concert. You're gonna be terrified. I'm gonna send these videos. I'm gonna Instagram these. I'm gonna send the videos. Like you're gonna be like, I can't. I would love to take you to one of these shows and just.
You know what? When we take the show on the road, that's what we're gonna do.
When we take the show on the road, and I will go to any show you want me to go to, and I guarantee we will have a great time. We will have a great time.
I'll have to have like headphones on, like kid headphones.
Hey, I wear earplugs, so I no, because I like to get very close. So I've gotten to a point where I just wear earplugs because I'm getting to be an old man and I don't want to lose my hearing.
Doesn't like your heart hurt from like all the vibrations?
No, it's the adrenaline. Like you just want to go. You just want to go off.
This is the mom in me. Anytime someone drives past me with their like bass real banging and their music real loud, I'm like, they're ruining their ears. They're ruining their ears.
It's such a mom thing to say. Turn that down.
Turn that down.
You want ringing in your ears forever? Is that what you want?
I know. I'm like, oh. And when it really goes like burn, when you can feel it in my house, I can't, like, how do they feel that in their car? Like, how is that feeling good? It makes no sense.
Feels great.
And then I always love it, like, when they're real young, it takes me back to, like, when we first started driving, like, it would, like, our cars rattled as the bass would go. Like, hope you don't lose a piece of your car because of the rattle.
I know. I blame my uncle for all this because my uncle was like basically my older brother growing up. So he was 11 years older than me when I was born. So he was basically like my de facto older brother because I saw him constantly. Right. And he was, so while I grew up on classic rock, like being around like the Beatles and Stones, and I mean all like the foundation of like what you listen to, he was the one that got me into like Kiss. And that was like my first like, whoa, this is. And then Van Halen, which is like my number one, that's my number one love. And I would go cruising with him and we would drive and he would have the radio turned all the way up and we would just listen to like Halen and Ozzy and Kiss and like we would crank it. And it was the best. And so I blame him because I can't not listen to anything now without being like, especially when I'm in the car and, going to concerts. I mean, he was I went to my first concert with him, which was Van Halen. So
I love that.
Bachman Turner Overdrive was the opening band.
Scott said 2 words, mosh pit. I would die, Scott.
Mosh pit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so sending you these videos. So sending you these videos.
Thrilling. Also wear earplugs too. Sometimes a mouth guard.
You know what? You got to, there are some rules to the pit that you gotta be aware of. Gotta have your head on a swivel.
And then Pedro said, "It is the best cruising down the street in my 64." So funny story. I met my husband while I was leaving work, so I was supposed to be where I was, but he was cruising the streets trying to pick up girls, and he picked one up.
Oh.
That's how we met.
Wow, look at you. what was he cranking in the car? Was he cranking it?
Nothing. Yes. And the fun story is, so he was trying to get a girl for his friend. So the very first words he said was, "Hey, tall girl, I'm 5 foot. I knew it wasn't to me." And I was y'all can judge me, but I bring some fun to the table. I was also doing 1-arm push-ups because there was a guy in the parking lot who thought he could do more than me. He couldn't. I sealed the deal with my hubby. Boom. That's all it took.
Drop the mic. Oh my gosh. I love that. I listening to that story right now just made me think of like American Graffiti. You know the movie American Graffiti?
Never seen it.
You've never seen American Graffiti?
I'm gonna write it down.
Oh my gosh, you have to write that down. Yes, you must watch American Graffiti. That is like American cinema. So it's George Lucas before Star Wars. It is really great though. It's a fun movie. It's set in the 50s and it's like basically one whole night after Yeah, I don't want, but it's just it's a coming of age movie. It's funny. And it just has this, it takes place literally over the course of like a night until like the early morning. And they do a lot of that, like cruising, looking for chicks.
It's effective, apparently.
Very effective. Well, living proof.
Living proof. I don't want my son to be cruising the streets, but it worked for his father.
He's got a very effective strategy.
Yeah, the hey tall girl was real sexy.
Hey tall girl. You're like, oh man, I might marry this guy.
Well, I will say my record score for that.
Yes,
we got really sidetracked, and I'm sorry about that.
No, this is good. So yes, what is your record score?
I think you're not going to be surprised. I gave it a 1.
Okay, that's fine. I was not going to be surprised, but I'm glad you listened to it more than once.
Yeah.
And I do like that you picked up on some of the Howard Jones singing ability there, that that you can hear that, while yes, he does the whole scream and growl, that he just has an amazing range. I will send you other songs with him that aren't Killswitch. He's done other collaborated with other musicians, and you're going to be like, I can't believe this is the same guy.
I'm going to have to look. And I really could hear his talent, though, I have to say.
He is amazing.
I just always go, but why would he go that route? That's what blows my mind. He can't have tonsils. He can't have his tonsils still. There's no way. He had to have burned them off singing like that. It
is, as it was said before, it is extreme skill.
You say skill, I say he's hurting his body.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, friends.
To get notified every single time we drop a new episode of Chris and Amanda's Song Swap Showdown, just hit that follow button wherever you get your podcasts. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the show, please use the email address in our show notes, and we'll get right back to you. And last but not least, please feel free to follow us over on our social accounts on Instagram and TikTok at Song Swap Showdown, or join our ever-growing community in our Facebook group by using the link in our show notes. Thanks for listening.